So, actually when he died, I wrote in his memory a little article that was written by perspectives of music. I'll read it for you. Cher maître, when you laid down your pen, the era which started with Schoenberg's Pierrot and your story of a soldier came to an end. You are the last of the great masters, the last whose oeuvre can be studied without reference to the music of your contemporaries, except perhaps for certain later works. You are the last whose music is new yet untouched by the electronic climate, the last who advanced music through personal expression rather than new solutions. Today we seek solutions to problems the way scientists do. We often work with collaborators. We learn from one another, reading professional magazines, but don't forget this was written about 15, 20 years ago. We secure our place in history by pointing out how we were the first to compose with metrical theories, the first to use electronic sound, the first to apply chance principles. Your discoveries were of a different kind and harder to explain, so musical were they. Can one explain the climate you brought into music with your static, frozen rhythms which do not propel forward a la Beethoven but hover like a blackbird or walk in a stationary position? The meter changes, the rhythm does not. You have uncovered an equally frozen kind of harmony which does not need to enter into a relationship with the next one. These frozen sounds of yours are dead not in the sense of lifeless as stone, but in the sense of once alive, now petrified, stylized, to achieve a more lasting form. If it hadn't been for your subsequent discovery, your neoclassicism, which aesthetically, though not in practice, negates the above-mentioned discoveries, you would have been labeled, as indeed you are, the inventor of music taking place in space rather than in time. In a word, you invented Barres. You also invented pop art, 40 years ahead of schedule, in The Story of a Soldier. You smiled when I told you that, but you didn't disagree. And with Histoire, you tore down the notion of orchestration in favor of writing for instruments. I always looked at you as a young composer of the 18th century must have looked at Papa Haydn. Both of you were sturdy, shrewd masters and continue to write music to a ripe old age. Both of you took music by the hand and brought it from one period to another. Both of your musics are full of delightful musical shop talk. One sees how your music is made, one sees the scenes, and one derives an almost moral pleasure and confidence from the fact that it is all made by hand, as you once joked. That was when he was commissioned by a lady to write a piece for her, and he quoted a very high price. She said, "Oh, isn't that rather expensive?" And he said, "But madame, it's all made by hand." Yes, you are the great jeweler that you use models, former music, and other people's music as a jeweler cuts and polishes stones. And you made it your own by giving it the Stravinsky treatment. You made it luminous. You used everything from Gesualdo to Tchaikovsky to Weber, but you only used it if you loved it. To my list, then I must add, you are the last composer whose loving relationship to music of the past is composed into your music. Well, no, I'm the last. You used to call it stealing and you advocated it. We cannot do this now, nor do we want to. When we use, we collage. Anyway, what is the purpose of mining where you have exhausted the mine? Though I will not forget the moment long ago in Boston when I was first introduced to you, and your subsequent visit to my overheated one-room loft, and the advice you gave me there, Lukas, soyez rosse avec les gens. Be fierce with people. He thought I was, I don't know, too polite, I don't know. He suggested that I should be more fierce. As the evenings spent together in Hollywood, later in New York, and your letter of encouragement which burned up along with everything else I cherished in the Los Angeles Canyon fire, and the letter to my son Christopher congratulating him on being born, and the planning of the New York Philharmonic Stravinsky Festival, the cufflinks you gave me for having presented you with the only festival of my music in the 27 years I've been in the United States. For all this, it is not your warm and generous, now brutally absent person which has my love, but that part of you which is as alive today as ever, your noble, lucid, inimitably marvelous music. Any questions, for instance, about Story of the Soldier or Stravinsky? happy to try and answer. Yes.
Can you say when the first time was that you conducted it?
Good question. What was the first time? I conducted so many times in my life. I'm trying to think what was the first time. It might have been here in Boston with Sarah Caldwell as the narrator. I think Del Tredici was a soldier, and the devil was Steinberg, the critic. What's his first name? Michael Steinberg. And I remember how that came about. It was rather strange because he had written a review of a concert of mine in which he said that what I had done to Mozart's version of the Handel Messiah was terrible. He said that not only did Mr. Foss not leave any single movement without making a cut, but he didn't even realize that one shouldn't do Mozart's arrangement in the first place. And he went on saying that the young should not be exposed to this conductor or something like that. So I didn't know, I had never met him, but I've got his phone number from somewhere, and I called him up and I said, this is typecasting, would you be the devil? There was a moment of silence, and then he agreed that he was the devil at that performance. And we became friends. Then there were other even better performances. I remember one with the New York Philharmonic that I conducted, where the devil was John Cage, the soldier was Elliot Carter, and the narrator Aaron Coker. Quite a star-studded combination. I've also done with somebody from the Mothers Convention. What's his name? Zappa, exactly. I asked him to be the devil, and he said, well, I have to cancel, I'm sorry. I said, why do you have to cancel? You have another engagement? No, I can't always be the bad guy. He said, well, then, why don't you be the narrator? Oh, can I be the narrator? All right. So he was my narrator in that performance. And I think Ernest Fleischmann became the devil in that one. So anyway, I had a lot of experiences with the story of the soldier, and they were always fun. So it's a piece that you really enjoy doing it. I even did my own version of the translation, because I didn't think the French translation was accurately translated. And so I did my own version, which is what you're going to hear tomorrow. Yes?
If you imitate him in conducting, how do you not allow the orchestra to dislike you?
Sorry, could you say that once more?
You imitate Stravinsky while conducting. The orchestra didn't like him. How do you change that?
Well, I never thought of imitating Stravinsky when I conduct. In fact, I never imitated any conductor, not even my teacher, Stravinsky. I just, time beating to me just comes naturally. So I didn't. But I think Stravinsky has a particular problem with the audience conducting because, well, he was just the opposite of a conductor. He walked on stage not the way a conductor walks on stage, which is sort of like, here I am, the great man of music, full of himself. He walked on stage as if he were going to the bathroom.